We're live, Jamie.
Okay, good evening, everyone, and welcome to our, we have three meetings tonight, the Committee of Adjustment, Public Meeting and Planning, and our regular council meeting. So welcome to all members of council and staff and anyone watching us live on Facebook. I have a motion moved by Councillor Wensing, seconded by Councillor Manley, that the Council of the Township of North Glengarry accepts the Committee of Adjustment hearing agenda of Monday, August 9th, 2021. Any discussion on the agenda? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion is carried. Okay, moving on to ratify the minutes. I have a motion moved by Councillor Madden, seconded by Councillor Noble, that the Council of the Township of North Glengarry accepts the minutes of the Committee of Adjustment hearing of Monday, June 14th, 2021. Any discussion on the minutes? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion is carried, none opposed. Okay, moving on to minor variance MV 13/2021. I have a motion moved by Councillor Noble, seconded by Councillor Madden. It is the recommendation of the Planning Department that the Committee of Adjustment approve minor variance application MV-13-2021 as submitted, with the following condition. The applicant is required to inspect the septic system every 5 years. Welcome, Jacob.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I will share my PowerPoint with you. Et voila, can you?
Yep.
You can see that? Okay. Okay, I can't. Okay, you can see my PowerPoint now, the first page? Yeah, okay, yeah. Perfect, good. All right, so yeah, Committee of Adjustment, August 9th. Minor variance 13-2021. All right, so the owner for this application is Tony Piccinini. The location of the property is 3465 Dalhousie Street in Glen Robertson. Official plan designation is rural district and the zoning designation is rural. So the purpose of this application, Mr. Piccinini is seeking relief from section 3.16a of our zoning bylaw to extend the reconstruction period for a single detached dwelling. So just quickly right here, this is Glen Robertson. So as you can see, Mr. Piccinini's property is right here. And just to locate you guys a little bit better, our landfill is just beside his property here, just south of him. You may recall this file because last year we did a similar application because when the house burned down back in, sorry, I don't remember, the 2020, I guess, or 2019. So technically when your house burns down, you're allowed 1 year to reconstruct at the exact same location without having to go through any of the studies that would normally be required if you're located there. So the problem with this property, there's actually two major issues. There's the landfill right beside. So if we follow our zoning bylaw, there's technically a 500-meter buffer zone from our landfill. So the house is constructed already. It does not respect that buffer zone. But according to our zoning bylaw, if you rebuild within a year, you're okay. You don't have to comply with that setback. And Mr. Piccinini's house right here is right in the middle of the wellhead water protection area for the wells of Glen Robertson. So because he's there, again, already, what he had to do, we asked him to do that at the previous minor variance. He just had to go and get the Section 59 clearance form from Raisin River, from the Conservation Authority, just to acknowledge that he knows that he's there. He's in a protected zone, so there are some uses that are permitted, like a single family dwelling. The only little issue would be the septic system, but that's why we added the condition to inspect the septic system every 5 years. So what we're going to do if this passes, we're actually going to register it on title. We were going to do that the last time also, but we're going to register the septic thing on title to make sure that if he ever sells the property, the future owner knows that they have to do that also. So because of these two things, Mr. Piccinini had applied for an extension of 1 year, but that year, as you know, was the COVID year. So like he did work on some plans, but like material were crazy expensive. Labor was hard to find. Everything was slowed down, so he did not have enough time. So he's reapplying basically to get the additional year to reconstruct. So he had applied for 1 year, so he had 24 months, and that's why you see in there that it's being now extended from 12 as required in our zoning bylaw to 36 months. So it would give him an additional year to start the process. So he already did start the process. He already applied, not applied, sorry, but submitted plans. So he's working on it. It should be done within the next year. Like we explained to him, we are not able to extend that forever, ever after. Like every year he could not apply. We told him to apply for this additional year, but we told him that it had to be done. Otherwise things may change. So anyway, he already started, so it's going to get going this year. So that's what I just explained. There you go. The house burned down actually the August 1st, 2019, and it was built over 50 years ago. So it was there for a long time. That's the survey. So north is actually on your left-hand side. The house remains of the dwelling that you can see here. So that's the footprint he has to respect with the new building. So he already has plans to put it exactly at the same location to be able to avoid, like he would need like RSC studies and most likely move the septic system outside of that area, etc. But it being surveyed like that and applying for the additional year for reconstruction, he should be good to go for that exact location. The only thing he will have to apply for is the setback from the counties, because this is a county road. So he would have to apply for a setback just to acknowledge, the counties would basically acknowledge that the house is a little bit within their required setback for their county roads. So the constraint on the lands, that's exactly what I've just explained. So there's the landfill and the wellhead water protection. That's the map there for the wellhead protection. So his house is right here. So the red is the most severe, number 10, as you can see. So it's right down in the middle of the protection area. So the 4 tests of the minor variance, so it has to comply with the purpose of the official plan. So this minor variance was passed before by the Committee of Adjustment, so it's exactly the same reason. So the single family dwellings are a permitted use in rural district designation from the official plan, so it complies with the intent of the OP. It also complies with our zoning bylaw, because there's the zoning over there is rural, and our rural zoning does permit single detached dwelling with all accessory uses like the septic and accessory buildings and whatnot. So it does comply with our zoning also. Deemed suitable and desirable. In this case, I guess it is desirable, as the house was there before. And as I mentioned, the second paragraph here just explains the septic that he will have to inspect every 5 years, because he's in the wellhead protection area. So he did acknowledge that by getting that 59 form from Raisin Region. And minor in nature. So in this case, it's minor in nature because the use is already existing. So we're not creating another negative impact. We're just basically allowing him to continue the existing use. So it is considered minor in nature. Again, the recommendation, it's the recommendation of the Planning Department that the Committee of Adjustment approve minor variance MV 13-2021 as submitted with the following condition. So the applicant will be required to inspect the septic system every 5 years. And yeah, that's it for now. I'm going to stop sharing. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Thank you, Jacob. Are there any questions from members of council? Councilor Noble.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Jacob, I don't know how to ask this without sounding blonde, but 50 years ago, was the water there and was the landfill there? And how did this house get built in the first place?
Yeah, the reason why we put 50 plus, it's because we could not really establish that timeline. And because we're like, our zoning bylaw was 2000. So we would only go back to there because that's when the zoning was passed, and that's where the condition or the non-compliance comes from. So we only went back to there, and from there, the landfill, of course, was existing, and so was the wellhead protection. But it wasn't. I think they redid the whole study after 2000, but it was existing. So they just did the wellhead protection as it is, as it should be. The house is in it. So it happens. He's not the only one like that. The only thing, that's why he had to go at Raisin Region to get, it's called like a clearance certificate. It's basically says that you acknowledge, you know that you're in there. So you could not have like a storage of fuel or a storage of fertilizer or anything that could contaminate the soil, because it would contaminate our wells. So yeah, the exact timeline, yeah, we're not sure when. So that's it. For us, it's basically existing non-compliant. So that's how we're considering it.
Thanks.
Okay, Councillor Manley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just wondering, Jacob, who tracks the 5-year?
Yeah, in this case, we're gonna add it onto his on title, and Kesha's gonna start, like, for stuff like that. We're gonna start creating like a calendar, and we're gonna like actually try to input. You know, we discussed a few meetings before for the houses that have to be built within 1 year or 2 years, that we're going to start when they build the garage first. So we're going to try to track it like that. Ideally, it's hard to ask the owner for a contract to get an inspect, because every 5 years the contractor may not even exist. So it may be completely useless to do that. So yeah, we're gonna, it's on title, so every future owner will know, and we're gonna try to track these year periods like that somehow with a calendar.
And Jacob, correct me if I'm wrong, did we not just pass a couple meetings ago that we are paying for those inspections in Glen Robertson for the septic inspections? Was it there?
We did, yes, we did. But for him, like Tony's, yeah, exactly, yeah. So we did.
So we're still doing that every 5 years for those other people as well.
Exactly, yes.
But we're paying for it.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, Councillor Madden.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was just going to make the point that this would basically fall into that inspection program that South Nation is going to do. So it's going to miss this one, but realistically, it'll get into the next one in the next 5 years, and then it should be normalized.
Any further questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion? Motion is carried, none opposed. Thank you, Jacob. And that concludes our Committee of Adjustment hearing. I have a motion moved by Councillor Madden, seconded by Councillor Manley. There being no further business to discuss, the Committee of Adjustment hearing was adjourned at 6:13 p.m. All those in favor? Motion is carried. Okay, moving on to our second meeting of the evening, the public meeting of planning. Are there any disclosure of conflict of interest? Seeing none, motion to accept the agenda. I have a motion moved by Deputy Mayor Williams, seconded by Councillor Madden, that the Council of the Township of North Glengarry accepts the public meeting agenda of Monday, August 9th, 2021. Any discussion on the agenda? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion? Motion is carried. Okay, ratify the minutes. I have a motion moved by Councillor Manley, seconded by Councillor Wensink, that the Council of Township of North Glengarry accepts the minutes of the public meeting of planning of Monday, June 28th, 2021. Any discussion on the minutes? All those in favor of the motion? Motion is carried, none opposed. And moving on to 4A, zoning amendment Z06, 2021. Go ahead.
Mr. Mayor, yes, we advertised the zoning amendment in the newspaper for 6:30. It's only 6:15, so if you want, maybe I can just suggest we start with the information.
Sure. We'll start with the severances for information purposes. So we'll go to 5A, B-48-21.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yes, thank you. I will share my screen again. tell me when you can.
Yep.
All right, so mine is frozen.
So is mine.
Why? Yeah, we'll just, it took 2 seconds the other time.
When's the internet getting upgraded?
Come on. Oh, there you go. I see mine. Tell me when.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Good. All right. So yeah, these are the severances. As you know, we're presenting the severance just for information purposes. It was mentioned by Peter that they have a lot on the go. So we have four. We have four this evening. There's a few more coming. They were pushed back to the next meeting by the county. So these four are the ones that were actually approved. So the first one for this evening is severance application B4045, sorry, -21. The owner is the estate of David Windsor. Location, the actual civic address is 19853 Marcoux Road. The official plan designation for this one is provincially significant wetland and rural district. Our zoning, exactly the same boundaries, wetlands, rural, and floodplain. So I will show it in a second. And the purpose for this severance, so no development is permitted on either portion. They're just, the family is splitting the property in two for two family members, basically. So they had one property they're splitting in half, but it's only for recreational use. So either hunting or ski-doo, four-wheeler, whatever, but no development is permitted on the property. You will see why. So this is the property. So it's right, like it's not actually on the water, but according to the layer, as you can see here, it's still on the water boundary. And this is our zoning bylaw here. So as you can see, there's a little bit of rural at the back here, but all of the front here, it's all wetlands. And back behind the rural, there's also some PSW underneath. So they're splitting it in half like this. I think I have just like that there. So both portions in this case are solely for recreational use. So there's no development permitted, sorry, on either portion. So this is our report. As you can see, we will not have any zoning amendments or minor variance required because all of our zoning bylaw requirements are all met for the two portions. It's rural, so we're allowed to do severances here. And the conditions here, very straightforward. Pays $500 for review, $1,000 for cash in lieu of parkland, and he has to provide a survey and bring it at the counties to get it stamped. So this is for this one. Second one here, B48-21. This one, the owner is Bernard Saint-Denis. Location, 19755 Kenyon Concession Road 1 in Apple Hill. The OP designation is rural district. The zoning is also rural. And the purpose for this one is to create a separate residential lot for future residential development. So there's actually, as you can see here, it's this large property. So Kenyon Concession 1 runs down here, and you have Lakeshore Road right there. So it's right on the corner. There's a single family dwelling right here. So what we're doing here is we're severing off the north part here of this property to create another residential lot. So because the zoning is rural, in this case, there's no, like it's not a surplus. So we're allowed to do severances like that to build other single family dwellings. Say that's our zoning bylaw. So all rural, all surrounding areas are rural. Right here is South Glengarry. So that's why we don't have any zoning designation for it. That's our report. So again, zoning requirement for a lot in rural area is only 1 acre. And here we're proposing 10 acres for the severed portion, and 7.25 will be retained. So it's all compliant. Same thing for frontage of both properties. Conditions, again, the two payments, provide the deed. And here there's also the condition for road widening. So on both portions, along Lakeshore. There would be, because Lakeshore is only 40 feet wide at that location. So we're going to ask for the road widening to make our road eventually 66 feet if there's ever a severance on the other side also. So that's the severance. So as you can see, the existing single family dwelling is right here, and that's the portion, that's the retained portion. And up here is the new created lot, and there's actually, the work is already in progress for this property. They have already worked on plans and everything. So this is probably going to go this year or next year, but it's going to be a lot for that use anyway. Next one. So B50-21, the owner for this one, Glenann Farms. Location is 19755 Kenyon Concession Road 1 in Apple Hill. That's not the right address. It can be Kenyon Concession Road 1. I'll show you on the map after. So OP designation for that one is agricultural resource lands. And the zoning, so you will see in the future slides, the zoning for that one is already general ag special exception -55. So no residential development are permitted on the properties. The purpose for the severance is to create separate lots for the purpose of dividing the ownership between the applicant and their son. So that's the property. That's what the property looks like right here. So it's that section here, all that, and it goes right down there. All right. So that's what the property is currently shaped. What he's proposing, we're going to sever it off right here. Okay. So a portion is going to go like this is the farmhouse here. So he's going to keep the house, and the owner, the actual farmland, is going to be kept here separate on a separate property. So I just want to show you our report here. So the reason why this can be done, because it's agricultural lands, right? So technically, as you know, when we normally have a surplus dwelling in ag lands, we have to keep it to a minimum, and it has to be just for the septic and the house. So as you can see here, the existing property, so the weirdly shaped property that's existing, it's actually 158 acres. So our minimum for agricultural lands is 74 acres. So he's allowed to split the lands in two to create two 74-acre farmlands. So technically the two properties are two farmlands by themselves. That's why he's allowed to do that. It's not considered a surplus dwelling because the two lots that we're creating are actually farmlands. They're both usable lots. So yeah, as you can see right here, 74, 74. Frontage is also okay. So there will be no additional zoning amendment for that one. So just to show, yeah, right here, as you can see, so back in the years, again, I'm not sure the year, but the reason why it's zoned AG 55, it's because you can see here, there's AG 54. There's already been a severance on that property right here. So this one and this one was already a severance, but the remainder, like the portion that remained from the property, was actually merged with this one here. So that's why it's so big. That's why it's so large. And because it is, they're allowed to do the severance and keep both farmlands to be to avoid any additional zoning amendments. So that's our report. Again, I showed you this here, and the conditions are all the straightforward conditions. And that's the two new more than 74 acres. So yeah, actually, I'm sorry, it was 200 acres. So as you can see, 99 and 94. So both portions are more than 74 acres. So we're all set. We're good to go. No additional zonings are required. And last one, I believe, severance application B83-21. Owner is Jean Major and Roxanne Urtubise. Location, so it's right in town, Alexandria, 70 William Street. The OP designation, rural district, residential district. The zoning is R1 hold. So I'll show you in a sec, but there's actually already a house on the property. We're splitting it in half. We're creating a new portion for residential purposes, but there's still the hold on the property. So when the zoning in a little bit, but this is what we're doing here. So that's the large property on the corner of East Boundary and William Street. So owners live there. They want to split the lot here to create a new residential lot right here. All right, but the zoning, do I have zoning? Yes, right here. So when with the freeze and everything, they zone all the vacant properties R1 hold. So what they did for this one, because when they in 2000 when they did the zoning bylaw, they knew that this lot was large enough to create other properties. So just to make sure that there's no additional development going on there, they just zoned the whole property to R1 hold. So even though there's a house on it, the property is still on hold. So technically, he can do the severance like he's doing now. He's going to sever the property right here, but both portions will remain R1 hold. So until we remove the hold, no development can happen here. So we'll have to consult with Public Works to see for servicing, etc. But right now we're not changing the zoning. We're just doing the severance. Yeah, so that's the property. As you can see, the house is there. Just going back. New Porsche. Yeah, okay, so I showed that already. There you go. So properties zoned R1 in Alexandria are required to be 450 square meters. As you can see, we're exceeding that by a lot. So it's going to be two large enough properties. Again, for frontage, we're meeting the minimum required, 15 meters. We have lots here again, 116, 67. The condition, so they have to pay the fees. We'll have again here to create a survey, check for the road widening. They will have to apply for an encroachment for the accessory building that's existing. So I'll just go back to that one here. So some of you may have noticed this garage here is very, very close to the road. So when that was built, we don't know. We have no record of it. We have no permits for it either. If there would have been a permit though, the garage would probably not be there because it's way too close to the property line. So what we do in these instances, we just get the owner to apply for an encroachment agreement with the township to make this accessory building here, to make it legal non-compliant. So that's one of the conditions for that severance here. And I believe, yeah, to provide a copy of the survey to the township. So that's the severance here from the counties. As you can see, the property right there. And this is a good example for like when we talk about road widening. So they only normally happen on roads that are only 40 feet wide. We want to make them 66. So as you can see along William Street, it's probably been some planning application here. Road is a little bit wider. And then when we get there, it's only 40 feet. So when he does a severance, we're going to own all of that here. The road's going to be 66 feet. 13 additional feet on this side, right down to East Boundary. So that's a good example of why we ask for that. And there's another one, V92-21, sorry. Mary Leduc. Oh yeah, that one is a lollipop. So that one is a typical flag lots. So Mary Leduc, 1357 County Road 34 in Dalkeith. Ag resource lands, the zoning is general agricultural. And the purpose for the severance is to create a separate residential lot containing the existing dwelling, which is now deemed surplus for the farming operation. So as you can see, this is the property right here. Okay, so a large farming property. And there's the house here and the driveway. I believe I have a little close-up. No, I don't. So that is all ag. So there's the creek right here. So around the creek, there's a little bit of floodplain, wetlands. Most of the property is zone ag. I thought we had a closer, no, we don't, sorry. So yeah, so this is just to create basically surplus dwelling. Farmer's gonna keep the land. He wants to sell the house. In this case here, the property where the house is going to be is only 1.21 acres. So they really kept it to the minimum. 97 acres is the retained portion. Frontage, they're both compliant, and we're going to see this file again because they're going to have to, we're going to have to change the zoning to prohibit residential on the farmland and to prohibit farming on the residential property. So that's a little map there. So it's your typical lollipop property that we all like. So that's what it is. There's a driveway about 500 feet, and then there's that property there. So this is going to be, that's how it's been approved. Yeah. And that's it. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions on any of those? Yes, Deputy Mayor Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Jacob, just curious, did on the last severance, did the property owners ask for a larger parcel to be severed, or they were happy with that size?
They were happy with that. I think they knew exactly what answer they were going to be. There was no arguments or whatnot. I believe, though, I said 1 point. I believe the property is larger than that, though. I think it's closer to 2.5 acres, or it's larger than 1.21 acres. But yeah, no, there was no argument from any sides. No.
Okay, Councillor Noble.
It was 1.21 hectares, so it was 3 acres.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, because it made no sense 1 point. Yeah, so 3 acres.
Thank you, Councillor Noble. Okay, so now we will move on to zoning amendments Z06 2021.
Perfect. All right. So I do not have a slide, so that one, sadly, sorry about that. It's basically just it's for discussion. It's our hobby farm housekeeping zoning bylaw amendment. So we discussed it actually 2 times before, in November 2020 and in January 2021. So both times we did some adjustment to include some other not options but more restrictions on the new hobby farm. So what we're proposing, we did not change the acreage. So as you know, right now in North Glengarry, if you have a property that is zoned rural, so the property is zoned rural, but the use is residential. So you have just one house on your large rural property. In North Glengarry right now, we have a hobby farm definition, but you need to have a 7.4 acre property in rural to be able to have a hobby farm. And we do not even have that condition for agricultural land. So if you have, same thing, if you have a house on a property that is zoned agricultural, but you're using it for residential uses, you need to have the full 74 acres to be able to have a hobby farm. As you know, we are getting a lot of requests, a lot of questions regarding hobby farms. And it's going to be like, it's good to clarify it also that hobby farms are permitted in these 2 zonings outside of the urban settlement area and are on larger properties. So what we have adjusted really is just a little conditions that the owners have to comply with. So what we're proposing, again, 5 nutrient units. So just to put things in perspective, a horse or a large frame cow is normally 1 nutrient unit. So that means that a hobby farm can technically, like what we're allowing for with no additional planning application is for 5 nutrient units. So you would be allowed to have 5 horses, 5 cows, 5 something like that. And if you go with smaller animals, of course you can have more, because a nutrient unit it's the manure they produce, right? So if they produce less manure, you can have more. So the number that we use is 5, because if you go with more than 5, you have to apply the minimal distance separation 2 calculations to the livestock facility. So it does not mean that it's an intensive livestock, but it just means that you will have some setbacks from property line, from neighboring houses, from your front property line, and etc. If you keep it under 5, you do not have to apply that. So what we have done here, we have kept it on lots that are at least 5 acres. They're only allowed to have that 5 nutrient units. But what we change here, so there's that setback of, as you can see in our little definition here, we applied a setback, what was it again, 15? Yeah, so we applied the 15-meter buffer from any well or septic system on the same or on the neighboring property. So that's what we added for that. And as you can see, animal has to be housed in a building specifically designed for such purpose, and any building that house livestock or poultry shall comply with the required setbacks. So we're actually going to use the setbacks that we already have for that particular zoning. We use the 5 meter height for accessory buildings, just like for any other accessory buildings. So what we really change is that definition here. So as you can see, there's an actual definition we're going to add, and then there's the general provision where we're going to have all of these. If you compare with your last page of the report, how it was previously calculated, so they had like, it was 150 square meter per nutrient unit. So it just made no sense using that, because we're actually telling them you're only allowed 5 nutrient units. So they do not have to calculate any other stuff. Then keep in mind, you have to keep it under that. If you have more, it doesn't mean that you can't. It just means that, first of all, we're going to have to apply that MDS separation from all the property lines, and they're just going to have to come to council or to the committee of adjustment to get a minor variance to allow for, let's say, 7 nutrient units or something like that. If a 5 acre property is quite large, and like the 5 horses normally on a 5 acre property should not be an issue. So we've discussed with, at the time at the counties, it was, I don't remember, Paul Hicks. So we discussed with him. We also discussed with someone at Omafra. We asked what was like if it made sense, and they said yes, you could even go smaller, but we kept it like that. Everybody seemed to be okay with the 5 acres and 5 nutrient units. So that's all good for that. More than that, what you're going to start having is, again, really, it all goes back to nuisance for neighboring properties. So we just want to make sure, like, let's say someone comes to us and he wants to have 10 horses. First of all, they're going to need their nutrient management strategy. And if they apply for that minor variance, well, if it's on a 5 acre property, well, we may recommend against it, because 10 horses on a 5 acre property may not fit. But if they have a 40 acre property and they want to have 10 horses, in this case, it may make more sense. So we're going to allow them. Hobby farms are permitted. That's all good, but they're going to have to come to the committee of adjustment for the additional nutrient units on the larger properties. So that's basically the outcome that came from the previous discussions we had with council. I don't know if there's any other thing, but for the report, that's it. Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Deputy Mayor Williams.
Thanks, Jacob, to you and your staff for for putting this together. I think it's really a step in the right direction. Just a couple of questions. So an official hobby farm is essentially not allowed under 5 acres. Is that correct?
Correct. Yes. If we pass this zoning amendment, you're exactly correct. Yeah.
Okay. So let's say somebody lives on 3 acres and they're, in the country on a rural road, neighbors not far away, and they want a half a dozen chickens. That simply is not going to be possible.
Yeah, the way this is written, yeah, you're right. It's not going to be permitted. It's not as of today either, so it's not like we're restricting more. But yeah, because in our like chickens are considered livestock, so yeah, no, it would not be permitted. No, exactly.
Okay, and I guess there's no way to mitigate that. I mean, it would be just too complicated to try to figure out, how many livestock on what size of property. It would be never ending, I suppose.
Yeah, it's because maybe I could share it with council. The way the nutrient management document is built, there's like 4 pages, and it all describes the animals. And depending on the size, depending on the size of the animal you have, what kind it is, like the cows, there's 3 different kind of cows, and chickens and geese, and there's many. So it would become complicated for sure. What we would propose in this instance, so the answer would, of course, the paper says no, but we have allowed hobby farms as of today on smaller properties through a minor variance. So they always have that option available if they would want to have chicken on smaller properties. Yeah.
Okay, so that makes sense. So there is a way to actually try to do it legally. I just think that, like I said, it's desirable to keep livestock in rural areas and make sure we don't have them in our urban areas. The other thing is right at the end of the it says it talks about the maximum floor area for a building accommodating livestock or poultry. No, I'm sorry. Any building that houses livestock or poultry shall be set back a minimum of 30 meters from all lot lines and shall have a maximum height of 5.5 meters. Is that going to be, I think that's an important point, so that we don't have these, butting up against neighbors' houses and things like that. I think Councillor Manley brought that up before. But it looks like that's just a comment in there. Is it going to be under the provisions A, B, C, D?
It's sorry, Ms. Deputy Mayor, this is actually the wording may be confusing. This is actually going to be removed. It's going to be deleted from our zoning bylaw. So just in the report, if you look just above there, it says amend the provisions of 12.2 rule zone by deleting the following wording.
Oh,
that paragraph, it should be tabbed a little bit. It's within that section. That's completely going to be removed. We're not going to use that because if like 30 meter is 100 feet, so you would need, it's a large setback to put a 10 by 10 building to exactly house 10 chickens. So we're removing that completely. Right.
Okay, but should there not be a distance? Let's say the neighbor's house is close to the property line.
We're going to use the existing setbacks that we currently have. So in rural, it would be like same setback as the house. So I think it's 6 meters in rural from the side, and in ag it would be 9 meters. We're just going to use the existing setbacks that we have. The only additional setback that we're adding with the hobby farm is the actual 15 meters from their own well or septic system or the neighbor's well or the septic system. So if his house, like you said, if they're all close together, there may not be room to put anything. And I'm pretty sure that we also added an enclosure, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I saw that. No.
So,
those changes make sense. It's just so the existing setbacks, like that's far enough away for someone to build a little chicken coop.
It should be, because these setbacks are also doubled, right? Because there's a setback on this property and the neighbor also has that same required setback. So if it's, first of all, normally in rural area, people do not put their house right at the 20 meter, right? It's like maybe they put it a little bit more because they have more room. And the neighbor also does the same thing. But yeah, you're right. They could be right at the setback. So in ag, it would actually be 18 meters between the house and the actual building where the nutrients are used. And the reason why we also put it at the maximum of 5 nutrient unit is exactly like you said, to avoid nuisance. So there should not be smell coming out of that. It should be maintained. And if it's not, well, there's always, people can always file in a complaint. And in this case, it would be with OMAFRA because it would deal with farming. So
thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Okay, Julie Jacobs,
Yes.
would you like to speak?
Yeah, I just have a question. Right now, you're only allowing agricultural property to sever 3 acres, but then you would need 5 acres to have a hobby farm. So is there any way to adjust that? So if you're severing 3 acres in the country, but then you still can't have a hobby farm on that 3 acres.
Yes. So when you sever a property, when you sever a house from an agricultural property, the official plan asks that we keep it to a minimum area. Plus, on top of that, the owner of the house is actually required to pass a zoning amendment to prohibit any farming operations to happen on that property. So if the property is only, like if the severance is done and the surplus dwelling is only 3-4 acres, they would not be able to have that hobby farm. Now, we did ask that question because I know everybody is pushing a little bit more towards having a little bit of larger properties when we have a surplus dwelling. So what would happen is that if, let's say, the severed property is 5.5 acres and we have to pass that zoning amendment to prohibit any agricultural intensive livestock facility on this property, but we also have our zoning bylaw that says that you can have a hobby farm. So in this case, what the part of the severance, so we discussed with the counties, and part of the severance would be that we just change the wording. Instead of putting to restrict all agricultural activities, we just say to restrict all intensive livestock facilities. So in this case, the hobby farm would still be a permitted use on that property. But that will only happen, to go back to your question, that will only happen with properties that are zoned agricultural. Because if you're zoned rural, you can easily create some properties that are more than 5 acres. So it would not be an issue in this case. So I hope I answered your question, but.
No, I don't. Well, yes, you did. But the portion of the property that wants to be severed, there is no house on there. Because you keep saying with a dwelling, but I'm not like, so we have 100 acres that goes from one concession to the other. There's a house on the front property on the one concession, want to sever just land off the back of the other concession, but there's no dwelling there. Like I would like to put one, but there isn't yet. So you keep saying with a dwelling, does that make a difference?
It does, yes. Maybe you can call us at the township and we can go over with you with the map. But what will happen if your and again, I'm just saying if, because I don't know, I do not know where your property is, but if your property is zoned agricultural and you actually sever off the house, all the remainder of the property, you will not be able to construct any house on that, because we'll have to apply a zoning amendment to prohibit any residential on the remainder of the lands, because it's agricultural. It's a little bit complicated, I know. Yeah, and maybe call us at the township. I can explain a lot more for sure.
Okay.
Okay. So, okay, is there any other, hold on, I'm just reading something here.
Yeah. Me too.
I'm not sure who's sending that.
Sarah M.
It's someone in the attendees.
Oh, there you go.
Okay.
Oh, Sarah. Okay, I've talked this. I know Sarah. Okay.
Do you get the question?
Because that's coming out, right? The part where enclosure shall be located within a minimum of.
The enclosure should be
Located a minimum of 15 meters from the well.
Sarah, I hope you can hear me. Maybe we can talk tomorrow, Sarah. I will explain, because I'm not sure I understand your question. I don't think it's okay, perfect. Good.
Okay. Any other further questions or comments on this? Okay, seeing none, we will move on. And this is to adjourn. I have a motion moved by Councillor Manley, seconded by Deputy Mayor Williams. There being no further business to discuss, the public meeting was adjourned at 6:49 p.m. All those in favor? Motion is carried. Okay, so we have 10 minutes to the start of our council meeting. So we'll take a short 10-minute break and be back to continue our council meeting.
Hello?
Okay, it's 7 p.m. I will call the meeting to order. I'd like to welcome all members of council and anyone watching on Facebook and staff to our meeting tonight. Are there any declarations of pecuniary interest or the general nature thereof? Seeing none, I have a motion to accept the agenda. I have a motion moved by Deputy Mayor Williams, seconded by Councillor Madden, that the Council of the Township of North Glengarry accepts the agenda of the regular meeting of council on Monday, August 9th, 2021. Any discussion on the agenda? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion is carried. Adoption of the previous minutes. I have a motion moved by Councillor Noble, seconded by Councillor Manley, that the minutes of the following meetings be adopted as circulated. Regular meeting of council, July 26, 2021. Any discussion on the minutes? All those in favor of the motion? Motion is carried. There are no delegations this evening. Staff reports, Community Services Department, CIP application 101 Center Street, Alexandria, Ontario, K0C1A0. I have a motion moved by Councillor Wensing, seconded by Councillor Madden, that council receives staff report 2021-19 and that council approves the Community Improvement Plan project at 101 Center Street, Alexandria, Ontario, as submitted by the property owners John and Maura Van Newton. Program B, improvement grant representing a matching grant of 50% up to a maximum of $4,501 for 2 facades visible from the street. Program C, civic address grant representing 1 civic sign provided by the municipality as part of its civic sign program. Program E, building permit grant representing a grant equal to 100% of the eligible building permit fees to a maximum of $213. Total grant, $4,714. Welcome in.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think that council will recall that this property came to them back in April, and it is actually registered as a non-designated property on the municipality's heritage register. So this property is actually a project to rejuvenate the front balcony, and you will see the details that include replacing of some boards. But the most important aspect of this is that we're trying to keep the style and the heart of the building. So this is a perfect project that matches well up with our CIP project objectives. You will see that the program B presents some different contractor quotes. In this case, as you know, it's been very difficult to obtain multiple quotes for contracting, either for painting and construction, but we did note the ones that were presented by the property owner there. And we're asking for under Project B to have an approval up to a maximum of $4,714. On the 4th page of the report, you will see the picture that dates back to 1905 of the property, and you'll see that what's being presented is in keeping with those original pictures. And Natalie, our economic development officer, went out to the property and took several pictures that are on the following pages to show you what the balcony looks like. And the pages further on describe exactly what we're looking at doing, which also includes the replacement of some board and batten up on the veranda, as well as painting the bottom of the balcony to a more historic appropriate color. So all that said, the other thing that we're applying for is the civic address, as well as a building permit in the amount of $213. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Anne. Are there any questions on this? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion? Motion is carried, none opposed. Okay, moving on to extension request for public art grant installation of stained glass, CIP 88 St. Paul Street, Alexandria, St. Margaret's Apartments. I have a motion moved by Councillor Wensink, seconded by Deputy Mayor Williams, that the council receives staff report CS 2021-20 and that council approves a 6-month extension from June 24th, 2021 to December 23rd, 2021 for program D, public art grant, representing a grant of 50% up to a maximum of $921.67 for the Community Improvement Plan project located at 88 St. Paul Street in Alexandria, St. Margaret's Apartments. Anne.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So this is actually a housekeeping item. The property owner is having a challenge getting some public artwork hung in one of the windows where one of the tenants is presently. And we know that COVID has made it very difficult for property owners sometimes to be able to enter facilities. They're very respectful of their tenants. So we're proposing an extension of 6 months to be able to give the property owner the proper time to do this. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Any questions on this? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion? Motion is carried. Okay, MRAC 2021 capital budget transfers. I have a motion moved by Councillor Manley, seconded by Councillor Noble, that the Council for the Township of North Glengarry receives staff report number CS 2021-21, and that Council approves the capital budget transfers recommended by the Recreation Advisory Committee according to the information listed below. A transfer of $10,774 to Apple Hill Recreation Association to proceed with the replacement of the roof on the Apple Hill Community Hall, and a transfer of $3,335.91 to the Alexandria Recreation Association to cover the outstanding portion of the pitcher's mound for the baseball field, $4,500 from the Dalkeith Recreation Association, $1,250 from the Dunvegan Recreation Association, $1,360.61 from the Father Gauthier Recreation Association, $4,500 from the Glen Robertson Recreation Association, $1,500 from the Greenfield Recreation Association, $500 from the Lagan Recreation Association, $500 from the Maxwell Recreation Association. And
thank you, Mr. Mayor. Again, this is a little bit of housekeeping. We met on July 27th with all of the municipal recreation associations to discuss their different projects, and in this case, also to discuss the fact that a couple of projects had some shortfalls to them. So as has happened in the past, the different associations reevaluate what their capital ask and needs are going to be. And if there is any slippage in those, we apply them to programs that have, or actually activities that have some shortfalls. In this case, you can see that those activities pertain to the Apple Hill Recreation Association, as well as the Alexandria Recreation Association. All of these transfers of funds are done with the explicit approval of the municipal recreation associations. Our biggest concern is not to leave them short in any way for their own capital projects. So these were all done in agreement with the various associations. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
thank you, Anne. And again, this is once again showing our recreation associations that work together. When one of the other recreation associations are a little bit down on their luck with having to replace something everybody else pitches in to make it happen. So great work by our volunteer groups. Is there any other questions or comments? Deputy Mayor Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Not relating to these transfers in particular, because I agree with Mr. Mayor that it's great that our rec associations work together like this to make to support each other in their capital projects. But it does remind me that we haven't seen Bob Linney in a while. When we had our recreation committee, he used to come and give us some updates, and they were always valuable. Is there any way we can get him to come to committee of the whole on occasion for updates?
So through you, Mr. Mayor, it would be my pleasure to have Bob come and do a delegation at the committee of the whole.
That would be great. It's a good idea, Deputy Mayor. Any further questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor of the motion? Motion is carried. There are none opposed.
Thank you, Mr.
Anne.
Mayor.
Moving on to the Treasury Department. I have a motion moved by Councillor Madden, seconded by Councillor Manley, that the Council of Township of North Glengarry approves bylaw 30-2021 being a bylaw authorizing the mayor and clerk to enter into a transfer payment agreement with Investing in Canada Infrastructure Program, ICIP, for the refurbishment of the Glengarry Sports Palace, and that bylaw 30-2021 be read a first, second, and third time and enacted in open council this 9th day of August 2021. All right. Welcome.
Evening,
Kim.
council. Sorry, an application was made for the refurbishment of the Glengarry Sports Palace in the late fall of 2019. The project is to replace concrete area slab, rink boards, and glass, and also will replace the current ceiling, lighting, exterior siding, insulation, window, and doors. Total cost of the project is anticipated as just over $2.1 million. The ICIP program will provide provincial support of $719,553 and federal support of $863,550, which is roughly 40%. In order to formalize the funding, the attached transfer payment agreement needs to be executed by the mayor and CAO to make this happen.
Okay. Any further, any questions or comments on this? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion? Motion is carried, none opposed. Moving on to Ontario Infrastructure and Lands Corporation loan. I have a motion moved by, sorry. I want to make sure I'm reading from the right one. Yes. I have a motion moved by Councillor Noble, seconded by Councillor Madden, that the Council of the Township of North Glengarry approve bylaw 28-2021 being a bylaw to authorize the long-term borrowing from Ontario Infrastructure and Lands Corporation in the amount of $520,000 for funding a pumper tanker truck. And that bylaw 28-2021 be read a first, second, and third time and adopted in open council this 9th day of August 2021. Kim.
Although originally scheduled for 2022, the pumper truck that resides in Maxville has reached the end of its life cycle. The new truck was approved by council in early 2021 and was ordered for delivery in July of 2021. However, it's been delayed and its anticipated delivery is September 2021. Cost of the truck will be approximately $520,000. OILC used to be, it's Ontario Infrastructure and Loans Corporation, OILC. It used to be Infrastructure Ontario, same corporation. We're applying for a loan. The loan is for a term of 20 years with an interest rate of 2.55. Borrowing will cost about $38,000 a year for this. The attached paperwork and bylaw provides the necessary documents in order to apply for the funding. A preliminary application was sent to the OILC, who advised that it is approved for funding. It's just the formality of getting the paperwork done.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Deputy Mayor Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That's a long amortization, 20 years. Is it possible that the loan will outlive the life of the vehicle?
We have tried for 10 in the past. 10 is a little short, 20 might be a little long, but our other pumpers have been at the 20-year mark, and it just seems to reach the end of its life cycle. So I think it's okay. The interest rate is very, very good. And in consultation with the chief of the fire department, he is in agreement with the 20-year term.
Okay. Any further questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion? Motion is carried, none opposed.
Thank you, Mayor and Council.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to consent agenda. I have a motion moved by Councillor Madden, seconded by Councillor Manley, that the Council of the Township of North Glengarry receives the item from the consent agenda for information purposes only. Any questions on the consent agenda? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion? Motion is carried. And new business, notice of motion. Our next regular public meeting will be Monday, September 13th, live at the Sandfield Center. So it'd be good to get back to in-person meetings. And we are heading into closed session business. So I'd like to thank members of staff for joining us tonight and everyone that watched on Facebook. Hope you have a great week and a great weekend coming up, and enjoy the rest of the summer. Thank you. Good night.